I'm Senator Dinah Sykes. I represent the 21st Senate District, which is in Johnson County. It's most of Lenexa, most of Miriam, a little bit of Shawnee, and a little bit of Overland Park. But I also have the privilege of serving as the Senate Minority Leader. But I just want to say welcome to the Capitol and thank you for your advocacy. Mental health does matter, and you all are the boots on the ground. We have done some great things for mental health, but we are not finished, and we need to continue this. 988 is a step forward. To my students over here, thank you for advocating and for changing the, reducing the stigma about mental health. When I was young, we didn't talk about those things. So thank you for doing that. I have faith in our future because of the young voices who are making a difference in changing how we talk about mental health. So thank you for all that you're doing. Continue to do that. Again, I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here. We have made progress, but we can't end here. Until we have parity and mental health is treated just like our physical health, we are not doing all that we should. So continue. I know sometimes you get frustrated being here and you feel like you're that hamster on the wheel. You are making a difference. You are changing lives. And we are here to partner with you to provide more funding, to make sure that we have access, more beds, all of those things, because mental health does matter, and thank you for being here.
I'm really happy to introduce our Y-Link youth speaker, Ellie Foose. Ellie has been involved with Rise Up Reno for 6 years, driven by a passion for mental health and advocacy and community impact. Through mentoring, leadership, prevention efforts, she has worked to support youth across Reno County and to help create a culture where mental health is prioritized and stigma is broken. Beyond advocacy, Ellie is deeply involved in her community and is committed to a future of political science, intelligence, and national security, fields where she hopes to continue making a meaningful difference. Please help me welcome Ellie.
For those who aren't familiar, Rise Up Reno is a prevention organization dedicated to empowering youth in Reno County. We focus on mentoring, providing resources, and raising awareness about suicide prevention, substance misuse, and mental health. We're active in 7 schools, working with over 200 students, and we take pride in our community engagement efforts because change doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when people come together, just like we are here today. We're all here at Youth Mental Health Advocacy Day because at some point, we've either struggled with mental health ourselves or we've seen people we care about fight battles they shouldn't have to fight alone. And let's be honest, talking about mental health still isn't always easy. We live in a world where you can call in sick for the flu, but when your mind is the thing that's struggling, there's an unspoken expectation to just push through it. That has to change. Mental health isn't a buzzword, it's not a trend. It's as real as physical health, and it deserves the same attention. The same urgency, the same support. That's why we're here, not to just talk about it, but to advocate for real solutions, because awareness is the first step, but action is what saves lives. This isn't just about one type of person, one community, one story. Mental health impacts everyone. It doesn't care how old you are, how successful you seem, or how many people are around you. I think we've all heard, just let me know if you need anything, or I'm here for you. But when you're struggling, reaching out can feel impossible. That's why it's not just about offering help, it's about showing up, checking in, and proving that no one has to do this alone. As young people, we are often told that we are the future, but we are also the present. The work we do, the conversations we have, the way we show up for each other, it matters now. And it's not just about big policy changes or funding, although those are extremely important things. It's about how we treat each other every single day. It's about the friend who checks in, the leader who listens, the person who makes sure no one feels invisible. We have the power to create a culture where it's okay to not be okay. Where reaching out for help isn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. And if we don't do that, who will? And I know it can feel overwhelming, like the problems are too big to fix, but small actions create big change. Something as simple as asking, how are you really, and meaning it. Something as small as sitting with someone who looks like they need a friend. I once heard someone say, you never know if you might be someone's last hope. And while that's heavy, it's also very powerful because it means we have the ability to make an impact just by being here. So here's my challenge to all of us today. Let's not just leave here inspired, let's leave here with a plan. whether it's speaking up in your school, starting conversations in your community, or even just being more intentional about supporting your friends. Commit to something, because small actions lead to big changes, and the work we do now will impact people long after today is over. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't really know what I can do, let me tell you. If you've ever held the door open for someone, you've already made their day easier. If you've ever made someone laugh when they looked a little like they needed it, you've already brightened their world. If you've ever texted your friend and said, hey, I've noticed you've been quiet, how are you? You've already taken a step towards changing the culture around mental health, so don't underestimate yourself. And if nothing else, remember this. If life ever starts to feel like it's too much, if you ever feel like you're drowning, just remember you've already survived 100% of your worst days, and that means you're undefeated. So let's keep going, let's keep showing up, keep speaking out, and keep building a world where mental health isn't treated as an afterthought, but as a priority, because we deserve that, because the people we love deserve that, and because the next generation is watching us. Let's show them what it looks like to fight for something that matters. Thank you all for being here, for caring, and for being part of something bigger than yourselves. Let's keep pushing for a world where mental health matters, not just today, but every day.
The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline went live in Kansas and across the nation July of 2022. Thanks to our partners in the state legislature and the governor's office and our incredible KMHC advocates, Senate Bill 19, the bill establishing the funding for the Lifeline, passed in 2022. This legislation ensured that our behavioral health providers were able to prepare for and provide life-saving confidential support for individuals experiencing personal distress and suicidal crises 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. 5 crisis centers are answering calls, texts, and chats from Kansans. These services not only act as immediate support, but also a front door to the behavioral health care system, ensuring that folks across Kansas are connected to the resources they need. Early advocates that called, wrote, visited their legislators, or posted on social media helped to raise awareness about the need for 988. And thanks to all of that effort, we're here today with a robust crisis system that evolves every day. Thank you all for your hard work. You made the difference. With that in mind, I am really honored to present our Mental Health Hero Award to Andy Brown. Andrew Brown currently serves as Deputy Secretary on Behavioral Health in Kansas, where he's been a dedicated advocate for mental health initiatives across the state. Among his notable accomplishments, Deputy Secretary Brown played a key role in pushing 988 Mental Health Crisis Hotline into law. His leadership was instrumental in ensuring that Kansas joined the national effort to establish the 3-digit number for mental health emergencies, aimed at providing quicker, more accessible support for those in crisis. Through his tireless work, Deputy Secretary Brown has significantly impacted the mental health landscape in Kansas by improving essential resources across the state, reducing stigma around mental health, and fostering a more supportive environment for those facing mental health challenges. His efforts have contributed directly to a more compassionate and effective mental health system, ensuring that Kansas in need receive the help they deserve in times of crisis. Please help me congratulate Andrew Brown.
So I think first off, just thank you for the recognition of the work that we've been doing. And I say we because even though my name is going to be on this plaque, everybody here has had some sort of an impact on our ability to get that bill passed here in Kansas. We started working on 988 before we knew what the number was going to be. It was an idea that we should have a 3-digit number, the same way that we have 3-digit numbers for things like where to call when you need to dig in your yard, or where to call when you need help from the law enforcement or the fire department. And it was part of a Crisis Now model, an idea that there's always some place to call, somebody to respond, and then a place to go when you're in need of help. And I think maybe one of the first advocate opportunities I had was when AFSP reached out to me here, the Greater Kansas chapter, and said, could you go to DC for us and talk about the need for this bill? And so I went to DC with another colleague of mine from headquarters, And we went around and talked to all the congressional folks and participated in that rally effort to try to get the bill passed at the congressional level. Once, a couple of years later, after Congress had passed the bill and it was signed into law at the federal level, one of the things that was in that legislation was the ability for the state of Kansas and other states across the country to create a funding mechanism that would allow us to support our call centers here in Kansas. And so our Senate Bill 19, that effort was about a 2.5, maybe even 3-year long effort, which involved a lot of people and a lot of hard work. And I can't thank you all enough for the work that you guys put in on that to make that happen. When I was looking at things I could share, our answer rate here in our state is higher than most other states' answer rates. And a large part of that is due to the fact that we have passed this legislation and we have secured funding for the future of 988.
Woo. Yeah.
And we've been able to, with your guys' help, right, create new call centers here in the state of Kansas to make sure that when calls are dialed from in-state, that they're answered here in-state. We've been able to add chat and text services to a number of centers around the state, and we're continuing to expand our answer rate for chat and text. Our call volume has increased monumentally as a result of having the 3-digit number. So we know we're helping more people, we're providing access to more services. We're still working on developing other parts of the crisis network, so we're working on mobile crisis. Some of you are lucky enough to already be in communities where we have active mobile crisis response teams. And if you're not in one of those communities, mobile crisis response teams are coming to your neighborhood soon too.
Woo!
So we're continuing to work on expanding that. We've also got opportunities to fund crisis intervention centers. Last year we were able to get regulations in place that allowed communities to begin to open those centers and get those licensed across the state. So we're making a lot of progress on our Crisis Now model here in Kansas, and I'm excited about where we're headed with that. And again, thank you very much for the work that you guys have all put in on this, and thank you for the recognition today. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. You all look incredible. I don't know if anyone's told you that, but I have to say, I'm Monica Kurz. I'm the chair of the Advocacy Committee. So I work with an incredible planning committee for months to try to make sure that we have a good day and an opportunity for us all to show up and to make our voices heard, because as we all know, mental health is health, and this is work that we have to continue to do. We have to keep pushing to do. I'm really pleased to be in front of you today because I get to introduce 2 of my close friends that you're going to hear a little bit from. So I met Whit Downing actually at a mental health advocacy day on the 2nd floor rotunda, probably in front of the AFSP table. And Whit is an incredible advocate. She is currently the Vice President for Policy and Programs at the Kansas Council on Developmental Disabilities. And she is here to share with us her experience with 988.
I'm really happy today to talk to you guys a little bit about my own story with 988, just in hopes that it can encourage even just one person. A little background about me, I am diagnosed with autism and depression and PTSD. I did survive a suicide attempt 2 years ago in July, and I utilized since then and before then, 988 has been a tremendous part of my safety plan. I reach out to 988. There are 3 ways to reach 988, which I think most of you guys probably know, which is chat, text, and call. And I've utilized all 3 of those methods because as scary as it is to call 988 and to talk to a stranger on the other line, it's even scarier for me to be tormented by my own mind. It's even scarier to believe that I'm alone and that I have to die and that I have no other options. So I know, I've worked with my therapist, and I know that when I start to have those thoughts, I've got to do something, and I've got to do something quick. Because I go from 0 to 100 pretty quickly when I'm in a mental health crisis. And so 988 has really been a lifeline for me. I call 988 when they've spent hours on the phone with me before, just getting me from that moment of crisis to a moment of, okay, I'm safe for today. And if I need to call back the next day, the way it works for me usually with my crisis is they come, they last a couple days where it's really hard for me to stay alive, and then it gets better. But during those couple days, it's really important for me to be honest, and I've learned that over the years, to be honest about my pain, because I was almost lost in my silence. I was really silent about what I was going through, and what 988 has provided me is a way to not go to my family members, because that kind of adds on to the thought of being a burden. I'm not saying don't go to your family members. I'm just saying, for me personally, having the option of 988 is very, very helpful. I've had counselors literally stay on that phone with me or stay in that chat with me until, like, I'm talking like over an hour. Like, it's just really, really saved my life. They listen. They give me time to say what's on my mind. They help me. They help me, like, identify what's on my mind. Sometimes I call and I'm just like, I feel like I have to die right now. And they always say, they always say, I know suicide is a very real option for you, but you reached out today, so that tells me there's a part of you that wants to stay. And I always say, every part of me wants to stay, I just need some help. And they've offered that help to me.
Thank you, Whit. This is not the first time that I've heard you share your story, but I will say that it is just as impactful this time as the first time I heard it. And I just want to say thank you for being willing to come up here and share and hopefully pass on that bravery to the next person who needs to reach out to 988. The next person that I'd like to welcome to the podium, I also met at a Kansas Mental Health Coalition Advocacy Day. There's a bit of a theme here. So Megan Press is a 988 counselor. She has worked on the phones and I believe also on the online chat feature. So Megan is here to share a little bit from the other side of that phone line perspective. I think sometimes we can think a lot about what may be going on with somebody's life when they may need to call. But part of what I think can be really powerful is knowing what you're getting on the other end, which is a live, real person who has been highly trained, who's prepared to talk about anything that may come up, and is so prepared to keep all of that information as confidential as you need it to be kept. So with that, I want to welcome Megan Press.
I've been involved with 988 since pretty much the inception, and it's been a great honor of my life to work with people, both as someone who's on the phones and as someone who's supported some of the most talented staff I've ever met. Some of you I see over there. Love you guys, you're great. It's been such a great honor in my life. There's a lot that's brought me to this point, though, that's more personal in nature. I've been someone who's experienced suicidality chronically for the majority of my life, and I've also been someone who's loved people dearly who've died by suicide. And one of the things about that is I was one of the lucky ones. I was someone who was able to get access to resources. I was able to get to a place where I'm not suicidal anymore, and it's pretty amazing for me to be able to say that after how long I've experienced that. And my own experience has taught me that hope is a realistic thing. And to be able to just hold space for people in some of their hardest moments and give them transition to the resources they need can do more than save a life. It can save many lives, but it starts like a ripple effect where there's all this change in what you didn't think was possible before, and it's an entirely new world where it seems like like I said, hope is a realistic thing. Stuff can be really dark and really depressing sometimes, but to know that, like, even when I felt the most hopeless, like, I wasn't right. And I know that, I don't know, at the time, I couldn't see anything outside of my own suffering. And then to get to a place where I see, like, all of these different options, all of this world that's more open to me, and all of these possibilities is something I never expected to experience. And now, as a licensed mental health therapist, I'm able to be on the other side of it and be able to support people who have had similar experiences and been able to I'm just really, really lucky. And I'm really, really grateful to all of you for being here and for the work that you're all doing. And it's just, like I said, I'm so honored to be standing in front of you today, both just because I can be a part of this, but also because I'm alive. And that's a really cool thing. So thank you guys again.
Wow, such great testimonials from everyone. Several of you might recall a few years back, we enacted a new award in honor of Eric Harkness, who was president of the Kansas Mental Health Coalition for years. And I'm very pleased to say that we have a presentation for the CE Eric Harkness Member of the Year Award. Monica, would you please join me up here? So Monica currently serves as Director of Administration at HealthSource, and she has dedicated her career in the field of behavioral health and crisis services. Monica's journey in behavioral health care began in the front lines, providing direct service and support to individuals and those with severe and persistent mental illness, which lent itself to a deep understanding of the challenges embedded in the behavioral health care system. Monica's work played a vital role in the planning and execution of the 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline. She has been